Welcome to Take Charge with Dr. Chichi, where nurses take control, break barriers, and build a future of financial freedom and career success. Whether you're burned out, ready to level up, or looking for the blueprint to thrive, you're in the right place. It's time to lead, grow, and win because your future starts now. Here's your host, Dr. Chichi.
All right. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to this episode of Take Charge with Dr. Chichi. This is your friend, Dr. Chichi. Welcome back. So, this show is where we dive deep into realities of nursing beyond the bedside. My mission is to empower nurses or anyone listening to take charge of their lives and reclaim their power emotionally, financially, and professionally through stories, education, and real conversations. So, this is the show where nurses and healthcare professionals reclaim their peace, power, and financial future. So, if you've ever felt overwhelmed, overlooked, or burned out, we're here to help you rise, rebuild, and take charge. So, the theme for this episode is creativity, burnout, and taking charge as a new nurse. So, I'm here to have real conversations about the challenges and opportunities that come with nursing profession. So, during this show, we will explore the stories, struggles, and successes of nurses just like you. Whether you're looking for ways to protect your well being, take control of your finances, or build a future beyond the hospital walls, you're in the right place. This is a movement of no nurse or family left behind. So grab a cup of coffee. And if you're on night shift, of course, extra caffeine, and let's get into it. So the goal for this episode will be to explore the challenges of starting a nursing career during global crisis, which is during COVID. So we're going to share how burnout can show up early in a nurse's journey, highlight how creative outlets can be powerful, a powerful form of self-care and emotional release. And then we're going to inspire young nurses to be proactive about their mental, emotional, and financial wellness. We're also going to offer hope and practical advice for new nurses navigating similar experiences. On today's show, I have the honor of having a young nurse. Her name is Nkem Otaluka. Nkem is a 28-year-old nurse with 5 years experience in med-surg, acute pulmonary. So this past March, she started her first job away from the bedside as a home care nurse, and she has a passion for mental, emotional, and she enjoys spending time doing creative hobbies such as music and pottery. I have the honor of welcoming Nkem Otaluka to the show. Hello, 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 Nkem.
Hi,
Welcome.
hello. Thank you, Dr. Chichi, so much for having me. I'm super excited to share, and I'm just honored to be invited to your show.
Welcome, welcome, Nkem. I'm so excited to see you. So, can you share your journey into becoming a nurse for me?
Yes, sure. So my mom is a nurse. She was a nurse for 16 years, and then she became a nurse practitioner. And
Wow.
so I grew up with the experience of just always knowing she was at the hospital whenever she went to work and just observing her and to see how she handled just her job. It made me curious to see how it would be as a nurse. But I also, at the same time, was battling whether I really wanted to be a nurse or I'm just doing it because I see my mom doing it. So, um, as I grew and just developed my own passions, I decided I was going to go to college and figure it out in college whether I actually wanted to be a nurse or not. And when I got to college and I went to nursing orientation, there was a professor there who gave this really intimidating speech saying, "Look to your right, look to your left. By the time you make it out of here, only one of you guys will be in nursing school."
And you'd be like, that would be me, right?
No, I was so scared actually. I went and switched my major. So, but then after a year of school, it's just something it wouldn't leave my brain. I was always
Wow.
thinking about what would it have been if I actually was a nurse? What would it have been if I didn't listen to her and I just, tried? So, after a year of pursuing something else, I think it was biology.
Oh,
Yeah, I decided, you know what? I'm gonna go into nursing school and I'm gonna give it my best. And if that doesn't work, then I'll do something else. But I believe that I can make it.
that's
And
good.
so, yeah, I went with that mindset, and that's what got me into nursing.
Wow. So were you scared to work as a nurse during the COVID
Yeah, so
pandemic?
when I graduated in 2020, and that was actually COVID had started when I was in my last semester of nursing
Wow.
school. So they had to convert a lot of our in-person clinicals and training into online modules. So
Oh,
there was a lot of craziness. A lot of things went up in the air. Classes were being canceled. Tests were being turned into online tests that you could use, your notes, all the there was a lot of changes, and so I for one felt a little hesitant because I didn't know if I was going to have the right preparation that I felt like I needed to go into the hospital setting. I was a bit nervous that, this online simulation is not going to give me the preparation to actually talk to a real patient or to actually know what I'm talking about. So there was nervousness there. But then when I actually got into the hospital setting, the nervousness came from just seeing I guess, the chaos that was ensuing in the hospital with the PPE gowns and new regulations being pushed out every week because since this was the beginning of COVID, they were still learning just the nature of the disease. And so something that was put in force in the summer by the next month could be different.
right.
So I was definitely scared. I was definitely fearful. I didn't want to bring it home. I was still living with my family at that time. I was so nervous to bring it home to my family members. I was just kind of anxious about it. But um, I think that, I really thought about this is a path I chose. I don't want to choose anything else. I still feel passionate about this. So, I just kind of took it as, maybe I'm just called to be a nurse at this time. Someone has to be a nurse. Can't all nurses can't leave the hospital. Someone has to take care of these people.
Oh,
So
it's so
that gave
nice.
me what I needed to keep
Oh, it's so
going
nice
forward.
of you. Wow.
So, yeah.
So nice of you. I mean, it takes a bold step to do what you did, right? It's
Mhm.
not at that the peak of all that, for you to want to do it is something amazing. And it tells a lot about you, you know.
Mm.
So let me ask you this question. What was it like starting your nursing career during the height of COVID-19? I mean,
um,
when on the news they put in the number of people that died in one city or the other, or like the height of, I mean, how did they feel starting your career at that height of COVID? What exactly were you feeling?
Yes, I would say starting my career at the height of COVID, I definitely was super cautious, super particular, wanted to make sure I was following everything that they told us, all the regulations, all of the things that were typed out in the emails. But I could tell, and my coworkers were as well, but I could tell as it went on, we started to get used to how it is in COVID. Get used to the, super strict guidelines. We got used to, maybe some things where nurses were more laid back. Our floor, especially being a respiratory floor, we would be seeing most of
And
the
and,
COVID
and, and that
people.
and that was where COVID patients were.
Yes, they
And
would be coming to our floor.
oh
So
man.
that was something that I think it really helped me as a nurse, honestly, because I just entered with the most seriousness. I was not about to mess up anything there. I was crossing all my T's, dotting all my I's. I was making sure that, if I'm going to be dealing with this disease that's out in the world, I need to make sure I'm doing the right thing because other people around me can be affected too by my actions and decisions. So, yeah.
During COVID, I was rounding on the respiratory floor and or like a pulmonary floor. And I asked one of the nurses, I said, aren't you guys scared walking on this floor? You know what she told me? She said, this is the safest place to be. And I said, why will you say that? She said that she was safer here than being at Walmart.
I agree.
Because I walk at least on the floor, they know to put their
Yeah.
mask, when to take it off, when to wash their hands, when to put it
Yes.
on. But she's like, at Walmart, people put on their gloves and they wear the same gloves to wipe their nose, to hold the cart, to do everything. So she
Yes.
told me she felt safer being on the pulmonary floor during the COVID season.
I can understand that too. It's like
Wow.
you have all the measures to be protected, like
Mhm.
you said, like she said. When you go out in the regular world, you don't know if Mr. Joe Bob next to you has COVID or not. And
Yes.
so, yeah, I totally agree with that.
So did you anticipate burnout so early in your career? And what what did it look like or feel like for you?
I think that um, for me, I think burnout came as a surprise. Like I didn't realize I was burnt out. I think for me, the fast-paced nature of my floor, I actually really needed. I liked, that we had all the tasks to do, and I know exactly what I'm doing every day. It's
Mhm.
given to me all the meds that I need to be given. My day looks the same. That kind of structure works really well for me. But I think that the burnout started coming when I was realizing that my work-life balance was starting to slip. So
Mm,
um, it wasn't the actual things that were going on at work per se, but it was that my actual life at home, I felt like I was always at work. I felt like, a lot of times I had to do three shifts in a row, and I live far from my job. I lived far from my job. So I would be driving an hour to and from work plus a 12-hour shift. So I'd be gone like majority of the day. And you multiply that by three, like I'm non-existent for 3 days in my real life, it felt like.
mm,
And those things were starting to catch up to me. I felt like, I was really needing routine in my life that I wasn't able to have the way I wanted just with my job as a nurse. And so I think the burnout for me looked like me just beginning to lose desire and doing the things I used to like doing, like creatively. Um, Things I used to like doing, like reading, writing, painting. Like I really just wanted to come home and just lay on the couch, come home and just scroll on my phone, just do things that weren't actually nurturing my brain, nurturing my soul, but
mhm.
more so kind of just escape or like numb out in my brain. And so that's what burnout looks for me.
They always say that burnout when it comes, you probably won't even know it's there till it's like how how you soak stuff, like you take a dry clothes and you just put it in water and it just gets wet. That it
Yeah,
just comes gradually, and then by the time you know it, you're already messed up, right?
right.
So part of this show is discussing about your experience and helping people take charge of their life. So what were the most surprising challenges you faced as a new nurse?
I think that for me, the confidence, I guess, was a challenge to gain because I was getting thrown into this environment where um, it's intimidating coming from school where everyone's in the learner mindset, and then you get into an environment where you're just talking to all these doctors and people who've done things for years and years, and you're just actually it's now actualizing what you've been studying in a textbook. So
Hmm.
I think confidence in knowing what I was talking about when talking to coworkers, when talking to doctors, and also when talking to patients. I want them to feel safe with me, feel like, they can trust me and they're giving their lives or their care over to someone who's going to, help them. And so I think imposter syndrome and confidence is really hard for me because I felt like, oh, I don't have enough experience to be that person. Or I'm always thinking like that person is someone else, but it's not me. So I
Mm.
think it just took a while. Took just, yeah, gaining more experiences. Also, it it also helped my confidence to know I can do my very best, but at the end of the day, I'm human, and so are the doctors. The doctors are human. We're all human. They say medicine is a practice.
Mm.
There's still developing and evolving, and not everyone is going to have 100% of the answers to everything. And that kind of took the weight off of my shoulder to just
That's
show up and
good.
do my
That's good.
best.
I
So,
mean, having self-confidence is something that helps you do what you need to do and do it very well.
yeah,
Yes. So how
I,
did burnout impact your mental health, confidence, and sense of purpose?
I think that it was just making me more like detached and disappointed with
Mm.
life, I think. Um, I didn't have things that I wanted to look forward to. Not in a drastic way, but I just genuinely just got to really use the routine of, okay, go to work, go
Come back,
home, repeat. Like,
come back, sleep,
yes,
lay down
like
on the
there
couch.
has to be some other things. Like there's more to life than just that. And I was kind of just losing that sense. And so um mentally, I think that also my emotions, I could tell it felt a little bit, I felt like my emotions, I was just numbing out. Like I could
Mm.
tell the difference in how I felt when I was a beginning nurse and how I could relate with my patients versus now or during the burnout. I was like almost like compassion fatigue, some people talk about, is just, you kind of get into a script like a robot.
Mm.
Someone tells you something really sad, it's not like you mean to, but what comes out is just, okay, let me find the correct response to say to this because I've already been in this situation before and I know exactly what's gonna what's gonna make me feel better instead of actually connecting with them.
Connected, yeah. And then that working 3 days, was it night shift you worked though?
I worked day shift.
Day shift, okay. Oh man,
Yeah,
that even night shift is even worse. Like you work 3 nights, of course, fourth day, you're recovering. And if you have little kids at home, sometimes you don't
yeah,
really sleep. You
yeah.
just keep on moving.
I
And
don't know how people
it's
do that.
horrible.
My
When
mom did night shift, so that's how I saw her do as
I'm
well.
telling you, I'm telling you. And the thing that gets to me is when I used to work night shift, if you're home, you go to bed like around 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. And then you probably will wake up around maybe 7 in the morning or 6 in the morning, right? So that's
Mhm.
how many hours of sleep. But you come back from night shift in the morning and you probably sleep like from 9 o'clock and then you wake up around 12 or 1 and then you come down or you come to where people are, they're like, oh man, it looks like you got a little sleep. I'm like 9, 10, 11, 12, three
That's
hours or
brilliant.
4 hours of sleep.
Oh
And you're
wow.
telling me I got good sleep? Do you sleep 4 hours at night?
Wow, I don't know how you do it.
No, but I'm telling you, but if you have responsibilities, sometimes,
Yeah.
you just have to do what you have to do. You go to work and you still come home and take care of your responsibilities at home. It's really, I don't even know how I did it. And my kids didn't go to daycare, right? So of course you
Mhm.
have to do all that work and then you come home and still take care of the kids at home, make sure
Wow,
they
you
go
have
to
two
school.
jobs.
It's
That's your second job there.
I'm I mean it's more than a second job. So let me ask you, what inspired you to turn to creativity as a way of cope and recover?
I think that I always have been a creative person. I think that um, that's just the way I grew up. And I've always loved reading. I've always loved just having an outlet to express what's going on inside outwardly. Um, and so I know that when I feel most free, most energized to um, do or to make an impact, it's usually through a creative means. It's
Wow.
usually through expressing in my own way and my own language, just either something that's going on inside of me, something that my faith is a really big part of my life. So also using, outlets to express my faith, outlets to express just what's going on inside. I think that feels healthiest for me, and that's what comes naturally. So
That's good. That's good. I had Nena on the show, and what she told me is that she felt like going to work, because of the policies and procedures and the protocols and all that stuff at work, that it felt like checking off the box when you go to work, right?
yeah.
And you don't have that sense, that innovative mind to do something. And she said one of the things that really made her to become an entrepreneur is because she can look back and then she sees what she's created and she gets so happy and
Mm.
excited that she did that for herself, and she
Oh,
did something to help other people. So when you were saying something about being creative, to me, that reminded me of her comment when she came.
yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I get it from her. She rubbed it off on me.
That's good.
But
That empowerment is really, really important. And that's why we have this show. We encourage people to take charge of their life. All right.
yes.
So let me ask you, how do you balance creativity and nursing today? You already told me that. And then what I will ask you next is what advice will you give to other young nurses that are facing burnout or emotional exhaustion?
Okay, so your first question, how do I balance creativity and
Mhm.
nursing? So today it looks a little different. I don't work 12-hour shifts in a hospital anymore. I
Oh
work
my goodness.
5. So for me, it gives me routine, which really helps when I want to do something creative. I don't have to be so much at the mercy of my schedule, but more so like it's predictable. Like if I wanted to do something creative every Saturday, the opportunity is there. If I
Mhm.
wanted to, after I get off of work, if I want to go paint something or go out in nature and read a book or something like that, the opportunity is there. And I think that just knowing that the opportunity is there, that I don't have to, just try to like play circus and try to put it in or fit it in. It
Mhm.
just helps a lot. It just makes me feel like a breath of fresh air kind of thing.
Wow. Wow.
I think that leans into the second question that you asked, is how what advice I would give to someone.
Young nurses facing burnout and emotional exhaustion.
I would say that there has to be some other outlet that's not nursing, because nursing is not your entire life. Nursing is a job which, is an honorable job that you're called to, but there has to be an outlet where you kind of connect back with your regular self, your humanness, the way that you were created, that's
Mhm.
not about a job. So I think that the more you have opportunity for that, the healthier you will be in your job, because you will be getting, life from somewhere else. And so once it gets to that point where you don't feel like you're getting life from somewhere else, I would say it's okay to just take a step back or change up your situation like I did. I was getting to the point where I was just thinking, I just need to do something else. And just me moving jobs, moving cities really changed so much for me, and especially gave me back just a peace of mind that I think I was missing in my last few years of nursing. Um, so, yeah, I would encourage them to do that.
So, in other words, you took charge, right?
Yes,
That's what
take
it's all about.
charge,
Take
take a chance,
charge.
take take
Take
charge
charge.
of your life.
That's right. So, what
Yeah.
does taking charge mean to you personally, especially as a young nurse?
Um, I think it means that you have the opportunity to steward your life, and you can't wait for someone else to do it, and especially can't wait for your job to do it for you.
Mhm.
You're the one who has that responsibility. And I think that in order to make the most impact with your life, you do have to make decisions, and sometimes that those decisions do have risks attached. They do have consequences. Um, but I think that's what life is about. It's learning how to move forward in wisdom and take charge and make the most out of your life.
That's good. You know, during COVID, I had not, I mean, I had several nurses that stopped working, right? And one of them came back probably 2000, 2 years after she quit from nursing. And I asked her why did she quit. She said it was affecting her mentally. She said it
Mm.
was getting to a point that she wasn't herself anymore. And so she had to stop working. And then I asked her, so why did you come back? She said because of financial commitments. That's why she came back to nursing. She said, I don't think she really wanted to, but because of the financial commitments that she had to come back. And I taught one of our classes when she came back, and she said that COVID left a bitter mouth in her mouth, kind of description that she gave as a nurse, right? So, of course, after thinking about we had a good chat though, but after thinking about all those stuff, I'm like, you know what? Can't nurses find a way that they can take charge of their life, that they don't have to keep on doing what they don't want to do
Right,
or losing their mental health just because of financial problems?
right.
And that actually helped me to start studying about the Georgia law. And that's how I took my exam and became a financial independent financial professional because I really wanted to know more, you know.
Mm,
So in that case, what will you advise nurses, young nurses that just keep on coming back to work because they have student loans to pay
mm,
and they feel like they can't do any other thing if they don't work 7 days or 5 days or more than they're expected to work? What will you tell them so at least they don't get burned out, that they lose their personality or lose their mental health?
right. That's definitely a hard and tough situation. I guess speaking from my experience, which is a little limited, because I haven't had to be put in that situation,
Hmm.
but I would say that financial, like getting in touch with a financial coach, financial advisor, I think is really important because you can make a plan in order to get to a mark where you are at financial stability to where you don't need to rely on going to a job you don't like or going working X amount of days in a row when you really desire to be at home. I think that, I think there comes a time where, you do have to work, you do have to pay off bills. And then there comes a time where you can plan so that you don't have to do something that doesn't make you happy. And that's just the end. And there's no light at the end of the tunnel. So I think, making a plan is important. I also think maybe researching and seeing what kind of nursing, where you could still make the money you need to get by, make the money that you need to pay off whatever it needs to be paid, but you're not compromising, your own soul and personality and you feel like you're not yourself. I feel like at that point it's just not worth it to be at a job where you do not feel like you are yourself. I'm like,
Yeah,
what is the point? Then you're not alive to be a zombie. So,
that's
yeah.
right. And then, I mean, she cited some, like the leaders in the department made rules that was so hard for her, during that COVID season. And they lost a lot of nurses because nurses were traveling instead of, working in a job. They were paid more traveling. And so almost all the job, fell on them and they were not really paid that much. So they had to pick up extra hours to make ends meet, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's tough.
All right. So I have this rapid fire questions that I ask, and I know you're gonna give me good answers. So what's your favorite form of creative expression?
My favorite form right now is definitely pottery. It's super fun, and I'm taking classes and we're using
Wow.
pottery wheel. So that is fun
Oh,
and it's interesting and new, which I love.
that's
So,
good. That's good.
yeah.
So, one word to describe your nursing journey so far.
Um, Enlightening. I've learned
Enlightening.
so much about nursing, about medicine, but I've also learned so much about people and myself, and I think that's priceless.
Wow. So, what quote keeps you going on a tough day or tough days?
What it keeps me going. I think sometimes I like to be in a good book. So sometimes if I just need to take a break, I'll just immerse myself in a book for a little bit, and that kind of just calms me down.
Wow. What kind of books do you like to read?
All over the place. I think the last book I was reading, it was a historical fiction about World War II.
Oh, oh.
So that's always good when you can read a fiction book. So then it's completely not even on this planet. So you can, yeah, enjoy that.
For some reason, the kind of books I like to read are like books that motivate you, books that
Mm.
enrich you. I love to read books like so the last book that I read was written by Mel Robinson, The Let Them Theory. And
What's
then
it called?
another The Let Them
The
Theory.
Lesson Theory. I think I've heard of that. Okay.
Yeah. And then another one that I read, the two of her books, I read it like back to back, The 5 Second Rule.
Hmm.
It was really interesting. I mean, that's the kind of book, like real life stories,
Yeah.
people's life. It inspires me to want to do better for myself,
Yeah. Yeah. I love those too.
Yeah, yeah. So next question. Coffee, smoothie, or herbal tea?
Definitely herbal tea, hands down.
Ooh, what kind of herbal tea?
um. Hmm. Probably green tea. That's what I'll
Oh
go
my goodness. That's exactly what Nana told me. She said
with.
green tea.
Really?
She likes
Wow.
she likes to take her green tea and then sit in one corner. By
That's
the
so
way, this is Nana's daughter. She's a nurse too.
like mother, like daughter.
Like mother, like daughter. So if you weren't a nurse, right? What would you be doing creatively full time?
If I wasn't a nurse, I think I have a lot of different creative passions, but I would definitely want to try being a musician, a full-time musician
Oh.
and singer. That would be fun.
So what kind of music do you like to sing?
I like to sing acoustic, like guitar,
Oh,
like
okay.
folky kind of music. But if I had more time and I was a full-time musician, I would definitely teach myself other genres, maybe do soul as
Wow.
well. So yeah.
There's I remember when you were younger and I begged you, I said, I know you know how because you play guitar very well. And I said, why don't you guys sing this? So you were so shy. No, I
I
want to do
was.
that. I want to do that. But
Was.
but but you did so well. And I remember you and Naza and Cece, how you guys played this music that there's one that was it the lion begins to, that
Oh,
music.
I remember that.
Yeah. Oh my God. That
The Lion King.
yes, yes, yes.
And
I mean, I used to enjoy that.
what? Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was so
Yeah.
good.
Well, thank you so much for being here, okay?
Oh, thank you so
Thank
much for
you, thank
having me.
you. Yeah. So, after listening to Kim, there's a question, it's like point of reflection for everyone listening. So, after listening to Kim, right? So, let's ask ourselves these questions. Where am I holding in emotional exhaustion instead of expressing it? What creative outlet have I ignored that could help me feel alive again? If something happens today and you're not able to work, how long can you sustain yourself financially? So I want to thank you, Nkem, for sharing your story with us. I am so excited you came. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much for having me.
You really inspired me, and I know you did for anyone that will be listening today or anyone that have listened. So if you enjoyed what you heard today, I encourage you to share the link of this show because it will change someone's life. So if you want more information on how to take charge of your life to prevent and handle burnout or take charge of your finances, you can send me a message at takechargewithdrchichi@gmail.com. Take charge with Dr. Chichi at gmail.com. Share this episode with a nurse or healthcare worker who needs encouragement. Okay? So thank you for tuning in to Take Charge with Dr. Chichi. Remember, your burnout doesn't define you. Your bounce back does. So you're not stuck. So you're being prepared to lead. Remember, you are more than your job title. You deserve financial security, work-life balance, and a career that fills you, not just drains you. Until next time, take charge and keep advocating for yourselves as much as you do for your patients. Share this episode with a nurse, friend, or a colleague. Bye for now, and see you on the next episode of Take Charge with Dr. Chichi. Bye-bye.
Take Charge with Dr. Chichi is a brand of Sparkling Star Development Strategies LLC. The information provided is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial, legal, or medical advice. Financial services are offered independently by Dr. Chichi in accordance with applicable licensing and regulatory standards. Thank you for watching.